immediate relatives start saying, how can we give it? We can't give it like that. वो कर्मा ने होगा उसका, वो भगवान के पास नहीं जाएगा, इधर जाएगा, उधर जाएगा. All sorts of excuses come up, and then it also becomes very difficult to ask somebody to say, please donate the dead body.
Sir, we are live now.
Now we are live now.
All sorts of excuses come up, and then it also becomes very difficult to ask somebody to say, please Why is the echo coming? Why is the echo coming?
We are live now.
Now we are live now.
Okay. And then it also becomes very difficult.
I think Priya should sign out, though. Then only then it will be possible.
Why is the echo coming?
Where is echo?
Professor Gopal may be actually logged in two places.
Yeah.
Oh.
You might be logged in two places.
I am not controlling anything out here.
It's okay now, sir.
Yeah, I think Pankaj hasn't come so far, right?
Currently busy. Please try later. आपके द्वारा डायल किया गया नंबर अभी व्यस्त है.
So we are starting in 1 minute.
Yeah, Priya. Okay. Okay, they'll come in. More will come in. I'm sure about it.
A beacon of education since 2002, D.Y. Patil. A beacon of education since 2002, D.Y. Patil University, Navi Mumbai was established with a vision to provide quality education in all spheres of high learning and health services in India. The university believes in creating evangelists of knowledge, people who spread the light quite literally. D.Y. Patil University is NAC accredited grade A and is ranked in the top 3% universities pan-India by NAC and has approximately 1 lakh plus alumni around the world. A pioneer of education, D.Y. Patil University, Navi Mumbai is the outcome of the efforts and vision of the legendary Dr. D.Y. Patil, a well-known educationist and philanthropist from Kolhapur in Maharashtra. His legacy is being carried forward by Mr. Vijay Patil, President D.Y. Patil University, who is also an eminent educationist, seasoned leader, and an avid patron of sports, and Dr. Ajinkya Patil, President of Ajinkya D.Y. Patil University and Chairman of Ajinkya D.Y. Patil Group. He is also the Pro-Chancellor of D.Y. Patil University at Navi Mumbai. In pursuit of delivering quality education, D.Y. Patil University, Navi Mumbai has 10 schools under its umbrella. School of Medicine, School of Dentistry, School of Ayurveda, School of Nursing, School of Physiotherapy, School of Biotechnology and Bioinformatics, School of Hospitality and Tourism Studies, School of Education, School of Architecture and School of Management. The D.Y. Patil University School of Management is located in Navi Mumbai, Maharashtra, close to the Konkan Bhavan. The school aims to provide managerial skills to its students and to develop their personality to face the challenges of the industry.
The D.Y. Patil University School of Management is one of the leading schools in this entire family of D.Y. Patil group of institutions. The director and the faculties all believe that the students are the main important pillars of this school organization. And to that extent, therefore, we do everything to ensure that our students are satisfied, they achieve what they want in life.
The legacy of the D.Y. Patil University School of Management is known far and wide, and its popularity stems from the fact that the management here leaves no stones unturned to fulfill their promises, whether to its students or to its stakeholders.
The school believes in certain core values, and one of the most important core values is that we will respect each and every one of our stakeholders, the faculty, the management, the institutions, the government, and the public at large.
The D.Y. Patil University School of Management follows an industry-relevant curriculum to improve the learning of its students.
Not only that, we have experiential learning program. We at D.Y. Patil University School of Management offer 26 industry-oriented programs. We teach various aspects related to the industry through cases. We take many cases from the industry, and then we ask the students to discuss in a group and come up with the practical solutions which will address the issues faced by the organizations.
The dynamic curriculum followed at D.Y. Patil University School of Management is not just limited to classrooms. In fact, the school ensures interactions with the industry as well as practical learning to make global leaders of its students.
Employers basically look for potential candidate who has soft skills, hard skills, problem-solving attitude, and application-based knowledge. To strengthen these skills among students, we believe in industry-institute interaction, guest lectures, live projects, socially involved projects, extracurricular activities like sports, cultural, e-sale, industrial visits, national and international conferences, seminars, workshops by eminent people in the industry, and many more.
Focus at D.Y. Patil University School of Management is the holistic growth and development of its students. As a result, students are provided with ample platforms to practice and hone their communication and management skills.
The students here are very enthusiastic and we participate in co-curricular activities as well. I am a part of placement committee. We conduct various training sessions for our people. For example, we have just recently conducted group discussion activities so that people can get success for their internships.
Workshops, international and national business conferences, aptitude tests, etc. are a way of life at D.Y. Patil University School of Management, and a lot of importance is given to research too.
The resources and the faculty support we have has surely provided with the opportunities to pursue my interest with the hands-on experimentation above and beyond my curriculum. This is surely the gateway to my future opportunities.
This, coupled with the vast industry connect of the management, is why students here excel and shine during placement interviews.
We do a lot by giving them placement assistance. And we do ensure that even an average student who joins our college becomes a super average student of ours. And my personal motto has always been that every student of mine has to be a success student.
A learner-centric university, D.Y. Patil University School of Management provides high-quality academic teaching and training using technological advancements to keep its students globally adept. With a healthy mix of fun and learning, D.Y. Patil University School of Management offers you the best environment for your growth and paves the path for you to become global leaders. So, look no further. Join D.Y. Patil University School of Management now.
My dear friends, this is an institution which is an happening institution. This is an institution where you will never find a day which is boring for you.
You will always be learning, you will always be enjoying. And we believe that through our innovations which we have, like the learning management systems, the social engineering exercises that we do, the simulation exercises that we do, you will be one of the success factors in the society.
Good evening, everyone. I request Dr. Sapna to take the session further.
Greetings on behalf of D.Y. Patil Deemed to be University School of Management. I'm Dr. Rashmi Srijit, welcoming all our esteemed panelists, our audience out over here, our moderators, Dr. R. Gopal, Dr. Vani Kamath, Dr. Sapna Suri. We've already seen the video which has ran on behalf of our School of Management. Just to add few things further, the milestones which we have achieved in recent times is that we've been ranked 77th by the NRIF. We are accredited A+ by NAC, as well as we are UGC and AICT recognized. This is for the students' understanding. We also have been recognized as one of the top 10 institutes, that's the private institutes, universities across 4,000 universities in India. So these are few milestones, probably with a lot of hard work and efforts by the leaders as well as the school team. Just to set memento into the panel discussion, I just take this ahead by stating that today's title is Global Opportunities Post-COVID-19. So if you just look around the world, you'll find that India is a great place and is a great potential market for many of the companies, whether it's domestic as well as MNCs. But also what is to be thought is basically, be it business coming into India or business intending to go global, you will find that most of the companies are thinking of reimaging themselves as well as their employees whom they are planning to hire in near future. Also the present employees, there's a lot of resetting happening through the structure as well as skill set. So I wish to, further take this ahead and invite Dr. R. Gopal, one of our moderators. But before sir comes in, I would like to brief about Gopal sir, just to say a few things. His CV and resume is long and can't cover everything in a short span of time. So just want to keep it short and sweet. So thought of highlighting certain milestones which he has achieved in his span of career. So talking about Dr. R. Gopal, he is presently the director and has been ex-dean of D.Y. Patil Deemed to be University School of Management. He has had a career of 25 plus years in the corporate and around 25 plus years in the education industry. Talking about his achievements, I'd like to highlight on certain achievements, probably which is not possible for everybody. He has been awarded the Best Asia Pacific Marketing Research Paper Award, and also has received certain awards which are highly preferred and probably everybody looks for in the academics. So to name the awards, he has got, Rashtriya Vidya Saraswati Puraskar, Rashtriya Vikas Ratan Award, Rajiv Gandhi Award of Excellence, Best Teacher Award by the HEF, and his motto in life has always been that transform every student to become an achiever. And he is very, very thorough with certain rules and regulations by the UGC, MHRD, and AICTE. He's also presented certain, he's been the speaker on many US platforms on topics such as how to do business in India, competitive scenario in India, and has received awards for the same. Welcoming you, Dr. R. Gopal. Gopal sir, welcome you as the moderator. Just to set the tempo on, we go on to the next moderator is Dr. Vani Kamath. She is presently the Dean for D.Y. Patil School of Management, and she's been a graduate and a postgraduate in the stream of business management from the Mangalore University. She's got an esteemed award of Best Teacher and Young Teacher Award by the Higher Education Forum. She has under her sleeves more than 35 plus national and international research papers. She's very sweet and she's been leading a team very dynamically. Welcome you, Dr. Vani Kamath, as the moderator for this session. Going ahead, I would like to introduce the conveyor as well as the moderator for today's panel discussion, Dr. Sapna Suri. She is being associated with D.Y. Patil Deemed to be University School of Management since last 13-14 years. She is a faculty of HR. She also leads the MBA team as the coordinator. She has around 45 plus research papers in her kitty. This is national as well as international. She's known to be tough, thorough professional in her work. So welcoming you, Dr. Suri. I hand over. It's my pleasure to see all of you all, and some of our alumni are also here. I personally know Subodh and Gurpreet, so welcoming you and all the other panel members also, especially the student crowd who's out over here. This is a great opportunity to learn from many stalwarts of the industry what is happening across the globe. Handing it over to Dr. Sapna Suri. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rashmi, for introducing. Now, moving ahead, I would like to introduce to you the panelists. Our first panelist, Mrs. Gurpreet Kaur. She's a customer engagement and a brand lead for Stuff New Zealand. She's working as a customer engagement and brand lead for Stuff New Zealand, responsible for the customer acquisition, strategic direction, growth and performance of the Stuff's brand. As a seasoned professional with more than 10 years of marketing and business development experience working for multinational companies, she's known for driving brand growth, maximizing operational excellence, and delivering financial performance. She holds an MBA degree from D.Y. Patil Deemed to be University. She's been specialized in marketing 2009. She's currently based in New Zealand, Palmerston North. I welcome you, Gurpreet. Moving ahead, I would now introduce to you our next panelist, Mr. Pankaj Shah. He is a principal architect for Network Surveillance OSS portfolio at Verizon, retired New Jersey, USA. He's graduated from IIT Kharagpur with BTech in Aeronautical Engineering and MS from Iowa State University in Industrial Engineering with specialization in Engineering Economics. Mr. Pankaj has 40 plus years of career in telecommunications in US, working in various positions in research and development. Mr. Pankaj currently resides in New Jersey. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
Now, moving ahead, I would introduce to you Mr. Subodh Wanjare. He's the head of business APP International Marketing, Cape Town, South Africa. He has over 12 years of experience in new business development. During his career, he has developed a number of African and Middle Eastern markets. He has managed to generate revenue in multi-million-dollar range at given markets. He has worked in India, China, and South Africa for pulp and paper industry. His area of specialization is international trade. Currently heading the business in South Africa for world's largest pulp and paper manufacturing group. He has completed his MBA in marketing from D.Y. Patil Deemed to be University in the year 2009. Subodh also provides consulting services to new startup companies in the spare time and is currently guiding a new startup company in renewable energy sector. I welcome you, Subodh.
Okay, ma'am.
Now, moving ahead, I would introduce to you Mr. Sid Sarkar. He's an advisor and senior project manager, Oil and Gas Upstream Capital Projects, Malaysia. He's With a well-renowned experience with worldwide oil and gas upstream capital projects, his career experience spans across oil companies, Premier Oil in UK and ConocoPhillips in US, and contractors Bechtel and L and Wright in US. He has lived and worked in 11 countries in North and Central America, Europe, Asia, and Australia, and had leadership roles in numerous landmark oil and gas projects. Mr. Sid has graduated from IIT Kharagpur in 1976 in naval architecture and was a resident of Azad Hall. He has completed his master's degree from MIT in ocean engineering. He served as a chairman of API subcommittee and developed the recommended practice for offshore floating production systems. He has published numerous technical papers and have chaired and moderated panel discussions in international oil and gas conferences. He is a US citizen and currently lives in Malaysia. I welcome you, Sid, sir. Now, moving ahead, I would introduce to you our next panelist, Dr. Surendra Kumar. He is a director and VP Maritime Trainers Guild, India, currently in Jakarta, Indonesia. He is an academician, internationally experienced maritime trainer, accredited management teacher, founding director and a current vice president of Maritime Trainers Guild, India. A chartered engineering UK, chartered marine engineering UK, chartered marine technology. He is currently based in Jakarta, Indonesia, set up and got the requisite UK approvals for specialized maritime operations, training for a local training center. Fellow Institute of Marine Engineering Science and Technology, London. He holds a PhD degree from the University of Petroleum and Engineering Studies, Dehradun, India. To name a few of the awards that he has achieved Best Trainer Offshore in 2018, Approved TP Trainer from Nautical Institute, London, Approved Faculty and Assessor for High Voltage Training by Maritime and Coast Yard Agency, UK. He is also a PhD guide for ITM Kharghar and UPS Dehradun. I welcome you, Dr. Surendra.
Thank you, ma'am.
Moving ahead, I would now introduce to you Mrs. Vasudha Atreya. She is HR Manager Europe, HCL Great Britain Limited, London. She is currently with HCL Great Britain London, based in London since 2014. An HR specialist with more than 12 years of experience in IT and ES industry, HR consulting for new businesses, outsourcing, mergers and acquisition, organization effectiveness, and employee engagement. She is skilled in consulting leadership, customer on tube, ARD legislation, entire project sales lifecycle, from due diligence, client bid defense, contract, HR schedule preparation and legal negotiation, business case preparation on HR aspects, and people change management via effective integration planning. Experience in working with HR departments. She has worked in for HR transitions, organization effectiveness, learning and development, employee engagement. I welcome you, Mrs. Atreya. Moving ahead, I would now introduce to you our next panelist, Mr. Sunil Murlidhar Shastri. He is the Director, Ocean Governance Limited, UK. Mr. Sunil Murlidhar Shastri is a consultant, expert, and speaker in ocean and environmental governance. He found his passion for PISM in Maribis in 1982 under the tutelage of Elizabeth Mann Borges and has since made it its mission. He is best known internationally for his masterclass in ocean and environmental governance and for his erudite analysis and candid opinion. Mr. Sunil has attended various times the Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Kharagpur, International Ocean Institute, Ekan Technical University, Dalhousie University, London School of Economics, and Harvard Kennedy School, supported throughout by prestigious scholarships. In the past, Sunil has been an academic and researcher in marine and environmental policy, a consulting ocean engineer, and an academic and researcher in mining and ocean engineering. Mr. Sunil is a Rotary International Paul Harris Fellow. He was born in India in 1955 and has lived in UK since 1988 with his wife and son. I welcome you, Mr. Sunil. Now, moving ahead, I would request Professor Dr. R. Gopal to address the participants.
So, good evening to all the participants who are there. Good morning to the panelists. Good afternoon to the panelists. Good evening to the panelists. And I'm so very happy and delighted to meet all of you all. In fact, this is the 12th leadership series program that we had. And in each one of these programs, in each one of these webinars, there has been a huge number of participants, and the whole objective of this program is, because of the lockdown, we wanted to impart information to the children, to the students, potential as well as the existing ones, so that they are aware of all that is happening around the world. And in this process, they are able to become what my dream is, that every student should be a success student. With this objective in mind, we had conducted webinars on post-COVID-19 status of the Indian economy, finance of non-financial guys. Then we had something on personality development, something on communication skills, on the skill sets that are required by the employees, by the employers in the post-COVID area. Specifically, we had a conference because there was a lot of demand. The students were asking us, so should we go in for an MBA degree or not in this post-COVID area? So we said, let's have a webinar on this. Rather than I stating my views, let the panelists state their views, the employees state their views, so that one could get a very, very clear picture. Yesterday, we had a conference on basically on the pharma and the biotech sector, because to our mind, this sector is one of the most promising and most growing sector. And there were a lot of queries which are coming up to us. And we said it's better that we have a program like this. Subsequently, when we were talking to many of our student communities and many of our friends in different aspects, in different parts of India who are employed, a question arose as to what would be the scenario, especially in the area of global opportunities. And a couple of things which came up. Should I, as a student, go in for higher education there? Should I, as a student, study something, do my international business or some such course, and then try to go abroad? Or should I, as a student, do my MBA in international business, marketing or whatever, get into organizations which are export-oriented, which are import-oriented, and through them go there, and through them interact with the foreign companies? I said, I don't know the answers. Let me form a group. And that's why I'm so very happy to have this, have all my friends and colleagues out here, my alumni out here. And the beauty of this conference today is we are starting from Cape Town in South Africa, moving to the Americas, moving to the Europeans, moving to the Southeast Asia, and finally the Australian continent or the New Zealand continent. We have a wide variety, and I hope all of you children, all of you participants, make the best use of this opportunity that you have today. Ask your questions. And as I always keep telling my students, make life miserable for these panelists. And how do you make life miserable? by asking questions. So get all your doubts clarified and take your decisions. And with these few words, let me welcome all the panelists, all the moderators. As the head of the institution, I normally welcome them with a bouquet of flowers, but I can't give you a bouquet of flowers today. So I give you a virtual bouquet of flowers, and I give you what I love best, and that is the Tulsi, because the Tulsi is one of the biggest immunity provider in the days in today's COVID scenario. And therefore, please accept a bouquet of Tulsi from me to all of you all. And when I meet you all personally, I would give you this bouquet. Thank you and God bless all of you all. Stop now.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a beautiful address to the participants. Now, moving ahead, I would now request Dr. Vani Kamath to address the participants.
Vani, mute.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of DY Patil University School of Management, I would like to welcome all the panelists who have gathered here for a wonderful session. And I would also like to welcome all the students who have gathered on the YouTube to ask their questions and get it clarified. Right? We have organized this session mainly because many of our students came to us and they said that they are interested to pursue their career abroad. And they are really uncertain as to how they will have to go about, what are the challenges which they would face in the future. And especially now in this pandemic, right? What are the things that they will be coming across or they will come to know about a particular thing, right? So we said it's better to have a panel discussion wherein all your questions get answered. So my request to all the students is to put your questions in the chat box, which is provided there. And all your questions will be asked by the end of this session today. Right? So before that, we will ask certain questions which has come to our mind. Once those questions are over, we will definitely take all your questions which are asked. Right? So we will start with the session now. The first question I would like to ask to the panelists is, what is the best career decision that you have ever made? Yeah, I think Subodh can answer this question because Subodh is our alumni and he is in a very good position now and he is doing very well. So Subodh, I think we'll start with you. So what is the best career decision that you have taken in your life?
Good day, everyone. So best career decision, I would say, well, to give a small background, I mean, when I did my bachelor's in commerce, in year 2004, I did start working full time. I was working for Reliance Infocom. I worked for a couple of years, but I saw my career heading nowhere. There was a point where I reached a stagnancy. And that is where I decided to do MBA. So I won't say there is only one decision which we took in life which changes entire thing. I think the first decision which I took was doing a full-time MBA at DY Patil. So that was my first decision. I completed my 2 years MBA with DY Patil College. And then it is important to accept that first small job which you get. You're never gonna get the biggest job which you dream while you do MBA. So it is very important, students, to accept that first small job, because even if it is a bad job, it does look good on your resume when you are preparing for your next round of interviews in bigger companies. And while I was working in my first job, I did realize that, if you have to succeed, focus on the global companies. Now, what I personally did is I was focusing on a company which has global presence. That means that with that company, I'm going to use that company as my ladder towards next destinations. So I think for that, I got myself familiar with international trade. I did my MBA in marketing. However, along with that, I started getting accustomed with the international trade. So my focus was basically to, aim at the bigger MNCs with worldwide footprint and then getting into the export department. in which I can showcase my business development skills, because every company, a global company, looks for someone who would expand their revenue. And you would become really most important person if you are bringing revenue to the company. So I think, first of all, I would say, to summarize, choosing MBA as a master's degree and then moving to international trade was my biggest decision.
Okay, thank you, Subodh. The next question I would like to ask all the panel members, as it is a general question. What is the employment outlook in your country? So I would like to start with the Vasudha. Vasudha, can you just highlight on the employment opportunities which are there in your country?
Definitely. Thanks so much for asking this question. Yes, I would say employment. I'm based in UK, London, as you have listened in the introduction. And London is a very good place to work, to explore. And also because it is near to the Europe, most of the time we get an opportunity to work with different European countries as well. So from an employment perspective, yes, there are all the big sectors, big industries which are present in London, and we get the opportunity to work along with that. But at the same time, if I see from a student's point of view, how this as how the opportunities are there in London, probably you need to work with some other companies which are probably in India, and then you move here. Or if you plan to do some higher studies in London and then take the opportunity. So from that perspective, if we look, yes, once you are in London, if you are an I'm an HR professional, so if I speak about HR, you will have the opportunity to work in HR stream with different sectors and industries. So from an overall perspective, definitely the outlook is good. Yes, this COVID scenario has taken a little bad because we all are working from home. The situation is different. But from, again, the HR point of view, I think this is one stream where we need to be connected with the employees. And no matter what situation comes, the outlook is always bright. And so it is there.
Yeah. Thank you, Vasudha. Sid, sir, what is your view on this, sir? Sid Sirkar?
I will first, I think, start with something more general before I go to the specific issue. And that is the reason why students want to, take the risk of leaving their home country and go somewhere else. Why do people do this? And a big driver behind that for students from India wanting to go overseas is based on the belief that they are going to improve the standard and quality of life compared to if they had stayed back in their comfort zone, which is home country. So given that as an assumption, if you look at where students normally go to improve their quality of life and standard, 85%, I was looking at some statistics, 85% of students from India, they pick 5 countries. That's based on statistics. It's the US, it's the UK, it's Australia, it's Canada, it's New Zealand. And the reason is because these are English-speaking countries. Now, recently, there's been a change happening, I think because it's becoming difficult. It was becoming difficult to go to these typical English-speaking countries. So there's been more and more students trying to go to Germany, countries like China, East Europe, that's increasing. So I think the students should not exclude these countries because the tradition is to go to English-speaking countries. Of course, if you go to one of those countries where English is not the language, you have to put in the effort to learn the local language. Now I'll go back to the specific question, employment outlook. So I'll mention, I won't really spend time with Malaysia because mainly Malaysia is a third world country. So I cannot imagine any student in India wanting to go to a third world country. So I'll talk more about Singapore, which is a advanced country. In Singapore, you will find one way to get to Singapore with a very well-paid job is to come here as an expat. So who are these expats from India that come to Singapore to work? These are, for example, I'll pick a company name, Citibank, the Indian branch. So if you have someone who works there, quite often that company will transfer you to Singapore. And a big positive thing about that is because Singapore is an expensive place to live, cost of living is very high. So when you do a transfer like an expat, company picks up a lot of the high expenses such as housing, transport, etc. So you will find a lot of Indian expats in Singapore. That's how they come here. Singapore, looking at their statistics because of COVID, they will start hiring mid-2021. So between now and mid-2021, students who want to emigrate to Singapore for a better life, they have to find other things to do. Typically in Singapore, what they're forecasting, what kind of jobs would be increasing, or the recruitment will take place, most would be in the sector of public administration and education. The reason is because Singapore government is putting in a lot of funding to help those industries because of COVID. The next industry where recruitment will take place is transportation and utilities. And the third one they're looking at is finance and real estate. So if you're planning to go to Singapore on your own, not being sent by your employer as an expat, I would suggest that you'd enroll in an MBA program. That's a much easier way to come to Singapore to have a good career in that country.
Thank you so much, sir. Gurpreet, what are your views on this?
First of all, good evening, everyone. And as it has been already highlighted by the other panelists, so considering the current situation, like, you know, everybody knows that COVID has affected, but that's not the end of world. Like, you know, such things keep coming up always. Sometimes it's the recession, or so it's not that everything has come to an end. It's just a short time situation which everybody is facing. And in terms of the global opportunities, as Sir nicely highlighted, so the first one is if you're working with a multinational company. So that's the best case scenario wherein, like, you know, you get offered a working environment or a job wherein, like, you know, the company takes care of your other expenses as well as your visas and everything. And even with this COVID scenario, if some student or, like, you know, if someone is still looking out to move to a country, so the best scenario at this point of time is you can enroll in some higher studies. And considering the COVID situation, most of the universities are now offering online courses. So the best part about that is, like, you know, you don't have to immediately shift, like your initial part of the studies, you can still do it from your home country. So many universities in New Zealand at the moment are offering courses wherein, like, you know, the first part of the course will be online. So you can still do it from your country, wherein you can save on the major costs of travel plus housing and like, you know, other minimal costs, which become a major cost when you're working as a student. And the last thing I would say is, like, you know, if you should have a clear roadmap, as in, like, you know, or a decision in your mind, what you're planning to do. So it's not that just you have to go to a country or, like, you know, you have to go abroad. So you should have your roadmap. Risk will always be there, but then if you have a roadmap and if you have a will, there's nothing that can stop you. So these things keep coming and going, but then there is always a way if you have already decided to do something.
Thank you, Gurpreet. Dr. Surendra Kumar, sir, may I know your views on this, sir?
Good evening, everyone. As Sid sir and other speakers have already covered about Singapore and nearby areas. I am currently living and working in Indonesia, which is very close to Singapore. And just looking at the opportunities here in Indonesia, it is not so very lucrative. Looking at the financial status of the company and looking at, but I see lots of movement here. What I've seen here for the last year or so, lots of foreign investment is coming in. Lots of developments are happening into the industry. So I see also some new enterprising Indian businessmen here. So I would not say that it is not really a destination. Yes, you can think of it, but coming here on your own business terms is not really going to be easy as applicable to other countries. You also need to have some setup or some multinational companies working environment experience so that they can either transfer you or you can think of setting up your own business. That is what is the way to come here to Indonesia.
Thank you, sir. Sunil, sir.
Yes, thank you.
So your views on this, sir?
Yes, thank you very much, Wani, and thank you others. My take would be simply this, that I've been here now for the last 32 years almost, and my take in the UK situation is that we are as good or as bad as any other time in terms of employment, in terms of education and opportunities for those things. COVID-19 notwithstanding, things haven't changed a lot. I still know of a lot of people who are able to get employment, who are able to come here. Things go up and down in terms of recruiting students. For example, in 2012, the government decided that they're not going to give them the post-work permit, visa, etc. But now they have changed their mind and it's coming back again. So that's an attractive proposition for students who want to come here. In terms of getting a job, of course, if you can find a job, getting this idea of getting a job sitting in India and coming here would be rather difficult, but it's not impossible. It happens to people. People get directly employed by multinational corporations in their on-campus interviews. The other route would be, as suggested by Sid, etc., would be that come and study here and then find your next step. So that would be the way of probably doing it. The attraction of England or United Kingdom has always been there, not just for the language, but I think it's a small place that offers big opportunities in terms of many things, because it's a highly recognized country for every field of endeavor, whether it's science and technology, whether it's management, whether it's medicine, whether it's research, whether it's consultancy, whether it's technology, whichever field you think of, and also social sciences, any of these areas you think of, it's a highly desired and highly recognized place. So I would think that the situation here hasn't. It's almost remains steady throughout. It doesn't go up too much and doesn't go down too much. The other thing is the quality of life here, and I have traveled to almost 70 countries in my life. I've not worked in long periods there, but I have a flavor of them. I think the quality of life here is still something to beat. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Pankaj Shah, sir, your views on this, sir?
Okay, good day, everybody. In short, I'm very bullish about the employment outlook in the United States, particularly for people from Southeast Asia and specifically from India. Reason I say this is that people from India have made outsized positive contribution in major fields such as high tech, such as medicine, and such as business. And this has been recognized for decades by the large multinational and even medium-sized corporations. And it's evidenced by the fact that whenever the government has tried to raise roadblocks in various different ways to people coming from foreign countries, there has been a significant resistance to that from the industry. And the reason being because the value, the contribution made by people from countries such as India. And the reason they do that is everybody recognizes that people from India are very brilliant, they are very hardworking, and they have brain like a sponge, always curious to learn new things. Uh, so I will not take much time, but in short, I think it's very positive. We are going through inflection point at this point, mainly because of COVID. But every time we have gone through inflection points in 2000 and 2008 or in the 1970s, this country is very resilient. It has come out and it's come out better. The one last thing I would say is that when I talk about these three areas, the business, the medicine, and the technology, what is, in my personal opinion, valued even more is people with blended background. And by blended background, I mean people who have done education in technology and then done some business courses or business degree, or people who did medicine and a business course. Because the companies have recognized that, particularly at higher levels in corporation, somebody with a pure technical background or pure medical background, they are very good for certain type of jobs. Whereas if you look at CXOs, or the people in corner offices, where you need a much broader understanding of the company's core business, people with a blended background have generally performed better. So that's all. So thank you.
Yeah, I think Pankaj, what you said is really correct. And if I summarize what all my panelists have said, couple of things which comes out very clearly. Come in for higher education, number one. Number two, if you cannot come in for higher education, join an international organization, work in their export department or something like this, and then through that you come to the country of your choice where you want to work in. And if I go by what Pankaj just said in the last, he said, you need a blended knowledge of things, not just a pure technology or a pure basic level. And a blended knowledge really comes in through the MBA. And therefore, my question to you, Rashmi, I think we have this program of MBA in international business. Now, if you look at what all these gentlemen have said, can you elaborate the subjects that are relevant and which will put the students on the global front?
Sure, sir. Just to throw some highlights, first of all, the course is divided into 4 semesters, and the first semester basically has 10 subjects where we introduce the student to international business. So that's one specialization subject. Along with this, we have other management subjects, which are pure management subjects, general management subjects. When you move on to the second semester, we introduce them to the second subject, which is very closely related to international business, that is international law, which talks about, if they are working along with an MNC, one of the most important things is the rules and regulations for doing business also changes across the globe. So probably a little bit of understanding about the legal aspects and trade affairs is something which they are introduced to. Semester 3 and semester 4, they have completely subjects which are highly specialized in the stream of international business. So that includes innovation management, one of the subjects. Then they have, forex and derivatives. They have international trade. They have international logistics and supply chain management. So these are few subjects. And the same goes in the 4th semester also, which becomes a little bit more specialized. So overall, if you see, sir, they are exposed to everything which connects with the professional aspect of not only doing business domestic, but also across the globe.
Yes, Sapna, would you like to ask a few questions? Yeah.
This question is basically for all who are there, the panelists. What skills are required, or we can say that what skill sets are demanded by different countries? So beginning with Dr. Surendra sir, please let me know what kind of skills are required when you are there in Jakarta. What do you think, what skill sets are required when we want to get into that country, or for any purpose, any work permit or anything which is there? What are your views in that, sir?
Yeah. To add on to this, there is one more question. There is a question which has come from the student also. That is, Aditi Kamble has also asked the same question. What would be the 5 skills that contributed to what you are today, sir? So that is the question which she has asked. So I think we'll start with Surendra, sir.
Well, I would like to start by saying that situations would change, and rather they have already changed a lot after COVID-19. But we will spring back to normalcy, but the normalcy is not going to be the normal, it's going to be new normal, and we need to really be prepared for that new normal. What we are hearing and what is going on in the market today, that instead of just 2 jobs, blue collar and a white collar job, there's something new in between has come in, and we should be prepared for that collar. And that collar requires you to know yourself. What kind of skill sets do you have which are meeting the market requirement? So we need to prepare ourselves for that situation now. It's not that situations are not going to change, it's going to change, and it's going to change dramatically once the things are settled down post-COVID. We need to be ready now. What kind of skill sets do we need? I'm not really promoting something, but there are some apps available. And if you guys, I'm sure the students are much more user than the others, but everyone is open to use those kind of. There's an app available which I have been looking at. Of course, this is something called Digital Fitness App from PwC. If you look at it, I don't have to really elaborate to you. You yourself will be able to find out what kind of apps do you, what kind of skills do you need. And once you have identified it for yourself, you will be much more enlightened, and you'll be much more likely to take up a decision and take up a course which you. And I'm sure at this stage of life, many of you may be working, some of you may not be working, fresh out of college. So joining a management program, joining something which you like, will be a wise decision. And of course, in that, you have to choose which field are you looking at. So that's the skills. I will not go into the particular skill sets as of now, but yes, when we talk next on this question, or if there's something more about it, then we'll talk about those skill sets. But I would say it's time to come in between, fit ourselves in between somewhere where there's a gap available. That's what I would like to conclude with. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Surendra. The same question goes to Mr. Pankaj. So what kind of skills are required when you are there in USA, which you would be highlighting, or which are needed for the participants or anybody who wishes to go to that country?
So few things come to mind. One is the corporations value very much people who are able to work with other people very well. That is how the leaders are made. I know that certain people, particularly at a younger age, and I will put myself in that category at one time, there's a desire to work in a manner that promotes yourself. And in short term, while that is value, that you think is bringing you results, everybody's more transparent than we think that we are. And I observed that if you look at people that are 1, 2, 3 level higher than where you are at, what they're looking for is, are you able to leverage the best that the whole team has to offer rather than promoting just yourself? So that's one thing. The other thing is when you're working on a project, there's a desire to make the part of your own organization shine. And again, it depends on what your long-term trajectory is. If you're looking to see how the leaders in the company are made, they are looking not at the success of a part of a project that you will be responsible for. What they're looking for is people who have a broader vision of how is it that the work that you are leading with a group of people can contribute to the core business of the corporation. So try to understand what business the company is in, and how can you augment that part as opposed to focusing very narrowly on what it is that you're working on. And the other thing that the company also values is before settling down on a given course, encourage and take input from a diversity of people, including those who don't agree with you. And sometimes people who don't agree with you may have a better idea. They may be looking at an angle that you've never looked at yourself. And if you, in the end, decide that what people who you don't agree with, how do you work with them so that they understand that the disagreement is about a specific idea that they are proposing and it's not personal? Don't let people feel left out. And be willing to learn new things. So keep an eye on the big picture. Don't focus on yourself. Focus on success of the company. That's what they're looking for. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pankaj.
You're welcome.
The same question goes to Mr. Sid. So what kind of skills would you suggest or are needed in Malaysia if you want to get into Malaysia or Singapore, basically?
Okay. I will, I think, answer the question in a way so that armed with these skill sets, the student will do well anywhere in the world. Because I think these are very general traits of successful people, whether they are in Southeast Asia, US, Europe. Those are common traits of successful people, why they become successful, irrespective of what profession they pick. The first one, I will say I'd like to bring an elephant into the room because I think it is very important for the students to understand and realize this. It's a tough topic, but I think it's important. It needs to be said. It is better to be said than not say it. So I'll give an example of a game because this, I think all of us panel members probably have gone through this experience. When you're asked to play, like I was asked to play a game, and I went to play the game and I realized that I was at a disadvantage compared to the other players. So at that point, I have two choices. I can tell myself that I'm not going to win, so I don't want to play this game. This is not fair. Or I can say, I will play the game and I will win, which means I have to run faster than the other players. I have to have more skills than the other players just to become equal to them. So I have to do a lot more. I have to run extra miles, I have to climb extra stairs just to be equal. And that happens when you go to another country where you are not the majority. You are a minority in that country. So you will find the rules of the game initially looks like that you have a disadvantage and you have to overcome that and accept the fact that's the way the game is and you still have to win. So that's the first thing I would tell all the students, that once you go into a country where you're a minority, you have to tell yourself you will run much faster than the others, than the majority. Only then you will be given equal opportunity. So that's one thing. It's very important to do that. The second one is, which I've done with my career, is basically get out of a comfort zone. when you're in a company, you put on a project, those who are willing to get out of the comfort zone, those who are willing to take risks, those who are willing to walk down a road that is less traveled, they usually are more successful than others who prefer to stay in their comfort zone. So it's very important for students every time they have an opportunity to volunteer for something that looks risky, that looks like they will probably fail, is to always volunteer and say, I will try that. And pretty soon you will be known to be a person like that. And you will be given opportunities that otherwise you wouldn't have missed. So it's very important to do that. And you know, when you take the risk, what you discover when you look back at your life, that sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. And that's what life is all about. So to me, these are very important skill sets that, and attitude and mindset that the student needs to have before they get on that airplane, because they will need these attitudes. Now, from an employer's point of view, if I'm an employer, I'm trying to hire one of these students who graduated from India or got another degree in another country, I'm looking for a couple of things that will tell me this employee is going to be, will shine something. And I want to invest in that employee. So that one of them, first one is the attitude of that individual. Is it someone who will run the extra mile always? Or is it someone who is sitting in that corner which says entitlement? Second thing I always look for are people who take personal responsibility. Everyone fails. There's no escape from it. You will fail someday. Will you blame someone or will you take responsibility? So I look for that quality in people. The third one I look for are students or new employees who are willing to delay gratification. They're willing to put up with pain today so that they can have more in the future. If you go for a short-term gain, usually it's a small amount compared to if you delay gratification, then the gain is much bigger. Not everyone can resist the temptation of immediate gratification, but I look for that quality in people. And the fourth one I look for is work ethics. Are you willing to come in early when you don't have to? Are you willing to stay late when you don't have to? So that's kind of my summary of what I would look for when recruiting people. And if I'm the one who is the employee, how my attitude needs to be. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Smith. The same question goes to Mrs. Vasudha. Ma'am, what are your views on the skill set required to be there in a different country like UK?
Sure. So first of all, I would agree on all the pointers shared, and especially as Sid said, there are certain skills which we require irrespective of the country we are in, and that will go absolutely sure here. But I would like to put it something now from an HR point of view. We have heard the skills that we require in a country. Now, how is an HR profession in UK? What are the things that we look for? So first of all, as an individual, it is a big responsibility of whom we are representing. As an expat, first, yes, we are representing our country. And also because we are part of our one company, as migrated as an MNC or even got a hired from a local, after doing a local studies here, we are representing our company. And then it becomes an important thing how we think. So thinking over feet, or at times work with the gray area, that is something as a strategic mindset required. Now, how it will come? Of course, with the attitude, as we said, and an open-mindedness. Are we willing to learn? And more we practice, we need to have this skill development, how to work in the gray area. Apart from this is whenever we are working on any country, I have personally traveled more than 20 countries and worked with different cultural people. Cross-cultural competence is very much required. I have a different mindset to work or a style of working. Being an Indian, probably that will not be the same if I'm working with a German. They are more precise. Or if I'm working with Italians. So, or even in UK, the Britishers have a different style of working. Now, am I being rigid and just want to put my point there? I may not be able to achieve it. So the cross-cultural competence, understanding the area that we are in, and then putting our point of view becomes a very important thing. Of course, when we are in UK, we should know a little bit of the local laws. Being in HR, we should know how things work out so that we can able to deliver good. And interpersonal skills will be required at any area, any stream. So with this blend, even when I moved from India to London few years back, this helped me in developing over a period of time how I can excel in my career.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Vasudha. The same question to Mr. Sunil. So what are your views regarding the skill set that are required in UK, the same country?
Well, again, thank you. Thank you, Sapna. I would say again, like the rest of us have said, that skills are universal. You need skills to survive anywhere. And I think you need the same skills to survive everywhere. And some of them have been covered by other panelists. But in my mind, I think one of the key skills that we need to cultivate is networking. So getting on with people in various ways, in a one-to-one situation, in a group situation, you go to a conference, be able to go and introduce yourself to 10 people, talk to them. If you give a talk, then try to talk to people afterwards and have some conversation about what you talked, some agreements, disagreements, etc. So networking is crucial. The second one is, in my view, is knowledge acquisition. You must be like a sponge. You must absorb knowledge from everywhere, because knowledge doesn't go away. Knowledge remains with you, and knowledge will stay, and knowledge will tell people how good you are. So I think knowledge is always excellent, second skill to have. The third one is, of course, if you have a lot of knowledge, there's no point if you have a lot of knowledge if you cannot communicate it. So communication skill would be the third one, which I would think is absolutely key. You must be able to say, I mean, I should be able to say what my expertise is to an 18-year-old or even a 12-year-old as much as to a 90-year-old. So that skill has got to be there. The communication skill is extremely important. Also, increasingly, and this is the fourth one and very key one in my mind, is honesty and transparency, because you will be open. People will know if you're not being honest and transparent, if you're trying to hide something, if you're trying to say something beyond what you know. All of those things people will catch on you sooner or later. As they say, you can't fool all the people all the time. So you have to be honest and transparent. So if you know something, you say you know it. If you don't know something, accept it, say you don't know, but you would like to learn. And finally, I think the most important one in my mind is patience and perseverance. Nothing wins, nothing succeeds like patience and perseverance. You have to. I mean, Vasudha is there from HR, and she knows, and all of us have gone through our lives to a great extent. You apply for a job. When you apply for a job, if you apply for 100 jobs nowadays, you're lucky to get 1 or 2 shortlists. I mean, that's the truth of the matter. So you cannot say that, oh, I applied for 20 jobs, but nobody's looking at my CV or nobody's writing back to me. But that's how life is. The competition is tremendous, and you have to be absolutely patient and perseverant. I think those are my 5 key skills, which are universal and which are not specific to the UK. Thank you.
Dr. Sapna, can I add something? Can I add something, Dr. Sapna?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, definitely.
I think listening to Sunil, it brought back something which I didn't mention, but as you know, the Indian culture, when we are brought up as kids, we are taught that if you speak back to elders, it's a sign of disrespect. So we are trained not to speak back to elders. So when we work in the Western culture, not speaking back, not speaking up is viewed as timidness, lack of confidence. So it is very, very important that when you work in the Western culture, you have to speak up, you have to contribute in business meetings. So always being noisy is a very positive thing. Being quiet is not a positive thing. And nobody tells us all this. We show up and we think it's the same as the way we were brought up. And by the time we realize, I wish somebody told me when I was new in the foreign country, my career could have been much better, but nobody told me. So, and I see this even now, when I see new recruits coming in of Asian origin, they're very quiet because they think they're being respectful. And that works very well in China. I worked in China. In China, it's the opposite. If you're noisy, you will have difficulty in getting ahead in life. In the Western countries, if you're quiet, you will not do very well. So I think students, depending on where you're going to go, it's very important to recognize this.
Actually, one thing which also struck to me, and I would like to add here, especially as you rightly said, the upbringing that we have as an Indian, we also been taught since childhood to say yes if some work has been given to us. And we always tend to deliver when we are in the Western culture, no matter how can we deliver on time or not, we always say yes. And if we are not being transparent in whether we can deliver at that time or whether we can achieve our goals in that stipulated time or highlight the risk, and it can lead to a different view from the Westerners. So another advice based on my experience, which I would like to share with all the students, be transparent and open on what you can do. Of course, that should not mean you will always say no, but you should always have an open conversation with the team that you're working with. And if something cannot be achievable, give the good ideas and say no, and then give the right timelines.
I wanted to add one or two sentences because I want to talk to you about my personal experience, we Indians have got a very, very fantastic habit, and that is a chalta hai attitude. And what I mean by chalta hai attitude, oh, chalega, nothing will happen. And we always believe everything is dependent on karma. I am here today because of my past life. I'll go forward because of my past life. Everything in that sort of an atmosphere. It doesn't work at all. And the second, very, very critical, very, very critical, and I suffered because of that, is the documentation part. I'll give you a very concrete example, okay? I was flying from India, from Mumbai to New Jersey to see my son. And I booked my ticket through one of the travel portals, And they said, what's your first name? I said, my passport says it as Ramamritam Gopal. So if they put the first name as Ramamritam Gopal, the last name doesn't come in. And then the whole thing gets rejected. So what they did was, they put my first name as Mr. and the last name as Ramamritam Gopal. In India, they had some problems, and then they looked at me, looked at my passport, and they said, go. And while coming from New Jersey back to Bombay, the clerk at the counter refused to allow me to board. She said, sir, your first name is not Mr. And your ticket shows your first name as Mr. Your passport says Ramamritam Gopal. And believe me, I called up Brahma, I called up Vishnu, I called up Shiva. I even went to the extent of calling up Jesus Christ, Allah, and the whole lot. And just 20 minutes before the flight could depart, there was a change. And another lady came in, and I went to her with a very, very sad face, and I said, ma'am, could you please help me out? She looked at my passport, she looked at my head, she looked at my face. And then she made a wave of her hand like this. Yeah. And she said, you run. I just dumped my baggage out there, picked up the boarding pass. I didn't even say thanks to my son and everything. I just ran through the security. The people there at the immigration and the security were very kind enough. They said, go, go. And believe me, I was the last person to board the flight. The last person. And this is where I realized the importance of documentation. And we are very, very poor in this documentation. And that's what everybody said. You got to be honest, you got to be transparent, and you got to write very clearly. And today I've written my passport as Ramamirtham Gopal as the first name, last name again as Gopal, and I'm getting away with it. So this is one of the very, very, very crucial skill sets, I think, is very important, in my opinion, to do this. I think all of you all will agree with that. And we South Indians have got a very bad habit of not writing first name, last name, middle name, and all that. They just say Ramamirtham Gopal as the full name. That's all. Thank you.
Sir, I think we'll take some of the questions which have come from the audience now. And the question is, what do you all think about the opportunities post-COVID situation in different countries? So I would like to ask this question to Gurpreet. And this question has come from Rushil Patil.
So as we've been speaking about the opportunities are always there and will always be there. Just that, like, it's a tough situation.
Could you please come closer to the mic because your voice is...
Is it better now?
Yeah.
Yep. So the opportunities have always been there and the opportunities will always be there. Just that it's a difficult time, which everybody is going through. But what I would suggest is utilize this time. If you're doing a course, gather as much skills or as much experience you can. If you're working somewhere, try to broaden your horizon and don't consider anything small or anything big, because if you wish, or if you have a mindset of going abroad and settling in some country, you can't just focus on one skill. What you'll be, if you're looking for an employment, you need to have a set of skills which people look out for. It's not that if you've applied for a job in a certain skill, yes, I'm good at this skill. You might get selected for a skill which might not even be a part of that job. So you need to broaden your horizon and try and engage yourself in different things. Utilize this time to your best, which you can. And once this time is gone, you can use those skills and progress in your career path, which you have decided. And as everybody has said, come out of the communication barriers. That's one thing which we Indians we face when we come outside. That's the most important thing. Come out of the communication barriers and try and communicate to each, or maximize the people whom you communicate to. That becomes, and we Indians have a very positive thing, which we can adjust in any different kind of environment, or wherever we are put in, we just adjust like how water adjusts somewhere. So that's one positive thing which we Indians have, which and if other countries they might not have it as good as how we have. So utilize your positive things and try to sell yourself when you're with your skill set which you have gathered and with your experience, with your education. You have to try and sell yourself. First of all, believe in yourself and then sell yourself. If you believe in yourself, then the others can. If you doubt somewhere in yourself, then it becomes very difficult for you to get a job or apply somewhere.
Thank you, Gurpreet. The next question is to Vasudha again. Vasudha, the same person, Rushil Patil, is asking a question. His question is, many countries have now started giving first preference to their own citizens. For example, USA. So in that case, what are the other citizens supposed to do?
Okay, that's a good question. And though it is, as per the question asked in US, I may not be able to give response from a US perspective, but definitely from UK. Yeah. So why, yes, the there are certain preferences given to the local citizens, but if you see UK, we are or our government is introducing a new point-based system for the external citizens. So this is unlike of the situation which is there, and fortunately, even with this COVID situation, this plan has not been stopped. So the opportunities are increasing for the people who are non-Europeans or non-Britishers. They are purely based on their skills. This point-based system will work, and we are attracting new people coming over to UK. So indeed, there are opportunities coming over. However, because it's a COVID scenario, we all have come across as a new thing. My suggestion will also be there. Don't be in rush to grab an opportunity or look for something which is abroad. Yes, it can be, it should be in your radar, it will be there, but look for an opportunity even in India, which has an MNC presence or a multinational organization it is there. So which will give you a good opportunity to move. And some of the countries, especially if I talk about UK, the chances of migrations are always more if you have been transferred from one country to UK in the same company, which is called as intra-company transfer. And this gives a good opportunity, and most of the people get the sponsorship through this. So in UK, I do not think there is something which is stopping, at least which is in front of us. There are opportunities, new opportunities coming over, and we just have to look for the right skill, the right industry, and we can work here.
Yeah. Thank you, Vasudha. My next question is to
Yeah.
I just wanted to make a quick point.
Yeah.
In addition to what Vasudha has already articulated very well, is the situation in the UK, particularly in my very simplistic view, again, Vasudha can correct me if I'm wrong, is getting somewhat better in a way, because forget, COVID-19 notwithstanding, but Brexit actually makes UK a different country now, because we had to take all the Europeans without any work permit or without any visa or anything like that. They could come and work here freely. Now that's not going to happen. Now, if that's not going to happen, that point-based system is going to work equally for an European, for an American, for a Latin American, and more importantly for an Indian. And I think that's possibly a positive spin on what might be things in the future in the UK. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Can I add something, Dr. Bani?
Yeah, sir.
I'll ask the next question.
Vani, Sid wants to add something.
Sunil, sir. Job.
Dr. Bani, can I add something?
Yeah. Yeah, sir, tell me.
I'll say two things. One is impact of COVID, and the second one is what the student has asked is, so what can we do? The impact of COVID, I think we all know that, for example, in the US, which is facing the highest unemployment, and there's the election year, it's going to happen in November. So whoever wants to win the elections, they have to come across that they're trying to protect jobs in that country. Even if it's the wrong decision, they have to say that. So I think we all see that. In the EU and Singapore, the government is subsidizing employers to keep the employees in their payroll for the same reason, because it's very tempting for the employers to let people go, which means it's virtually impossible for new employees to come in. In addition, we have an economic disruption going on in the whole world, which is making it difficult for employers to hire new people. Plus, because of that, protectionism by almost every government in the world is taking place now. So all this makes it very difficult to apply for a job. However, so if the job market is tough, there's a lot of other things that students can do. I'll give you a couple of options. This is a great time to take a break for 1 or 2 years to get an advanced degree, like an MBA or Master's in Finance, for example. You can also, a student can get a double major, 2 bachelors. The second major might take 1 or 2 years. I'm not sure if your university allows such a thing, but I'm sure there are other universities that might. The third thing they can do is become specialized in something that they're not right now, to take the opportunity. And the fourth thing they can do is get an internship with an employer in India. So by the time the COVID madness is over, they would be better trained, better educated, much more ready to apply for a new job a year from now. So I would highly recommend the students to seriously think about these solutions.
Yeah, Vani.
I would like to take one question. There's a question from the panel participants coming up that, is there a business or any kind of a job that will boom up post-pandemic in various countries? I think Subodh, if you can answer that.
I think this is very common question. I think we will hear same question designed in a different way. What should we do post-COVID? So my simple answer would be, which industry? My answer is all industries are going to go up once again. It is just that few industries are going to be the first ones to recover and few industries are going to be the last ones to recover, because we have, I mean, if you look at human history, we have been through such challenges and we have seen that boom in the market in each and every industry. Students must look around at this stage. What is happening? Which industry do they see? Even despite COVID period, there are few industries which are still growing. Communication, online marketing, pharma, food sector. These are the industries which are still booming despite the COVID situation. So this would be the first ones also to keep prospering. And going forward, even the not so busy sectors currently like aviation, tourism, or BPOs, etc., which are not booming at this stage, would also sooner or later take place. So yeah, all industries are going to grow. If someone is thinking their particular industry is not shining today, it will shine after a couple of months or after a couple of years. So best is to have patience, keep developing those skills meanwhile, so that you can utilize when the market is high. That would be my answer.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Vani.
Yes, Vani.
Vani,
Yes, sir.
next question.
Yeah, next question I think you can take, sir. This question is from Yash B. He's asking, he's very much interested in aviation industry. It was booming before COVID, but now it's suffering loss. So what should be the future? And what should I do after my BBA to pursue my career in aviation? That is his question, sir.
As I see it today, I mean, the aviation industry is not growing at a very fast rate. If you look at India per se, after the downfall of Kingfisher Airlines, then Jet Airlines came down, and now there's SpiceJet, Indigo, and Air India. These are the three major, and Vistara, which these are the 3 or 4 major airlines which are there. But the aviation industry is growing. Let me tell you this. It's growing albeit slowly. And where is the growth coming in from? The growth is coming in because if you look at our country today, with 3,300,000 square kilometers length and breadth area, there are a large number of smaller airports which are getting developed. And as part of the government of India moves, they are developing small airports like the Shirdi, like at Shirdi, at Nashik, at Aurangabad, and all these places. And there you require a lot of people in the aviation industry to man these airports. Plus companies like GVK are demanding a large number of people, because to build the airport, to man the airport, they require people. And therefore, while you might not see a big jump, and I do not see a big jump till in the short run, which is basically, April 21 or May 21, but from April 22, I see a very big good growth for the aviation industry, and therefore, I don't think you should really worry about it. and now as the director of the DY Patil School of Management, we have a program called the MBA in Aviation Management. And if you take an admission now, by the time you come out in April 22, I mean, be rest assured that you will get a good placement also. Thank you.
Yeah.
I second your thoughts, sir, because I think the government of India has already approved about 25 greenfield airports. There are thousands of planes on order, both from US and from France, and the airlines are raring to go. It's just a situation now that it has come to a standstill and some airlines are doing very bad. But this is a temporary phase. If you have planned for 25 greenfield airports and thousands of planes are on order, this sector is booming in the near future.
Yes, sir. Pankaj.
Pankaj.
So I have spent my career in telecommunication, and this question takes me back to mid 1980s when we were developing various ways for video conferencing, audio conferencing, and the buzz in the industry was that this is going to bring an end to or significant slowdown in business travel. And therefore, the airlines, the travel industry, the hotels should start to focus more on catering to residential customers as opposed to business customers. And that is history, but we had the benefit of knowing what really happened. What happened is that the business travel, despite the advances in audio conferencing, video conferencing, business travel has boomed. And the reason is that humans are increasingly social animals, right? So yes, because of COVID, the travel has significantly dropped. But if you look at not even a year, few months down the road when the vaccination is available and people start feeling comfortable again, I very much doubt that humans everywhere in the world will continue to stay in the cocoon that people are staying in right now.
Thank you, sir.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah, yes.
In my profession, oil and gas, I've been through a couple of very, very bad downturns, and I share the same view as what Pankaj mentioned just now. The first time I encountered a complete collapse of the oil and gas industry was in 1985. I was in Houston at that time. The next time that happened was in the year 2008, was driven by the financial world collapse. Then the third time I went through this crisis was 2014, when the price of oil fell off, the bottom fell out. And then it happened again in February this year because of the battle between Saudi Arabia and Russia. So I've been through these very, very bad downturns in oil and gas, but every time it has come back up. So I think I completely agree with Dr. Gopal that the aviation industry is going through a very bad time right now, but it will recover. No one knows it's going to be 6 months from now or 2 years from now, but it will recover. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Vasudha, the next question is for you. What are the opportunities in HR in UK? And this question has come from Karan Shetty.
So there are like any other country, country companies, HR options are a lot here. Two things which I would like to highlight, especially if you are associated with the IT organization and looking at the HR outflow, there is one stream which is very less known to people, but has a very importance in this world associated with IT, which is linked with the outsourcing and mergers and acquisitions. So if you see the IT business run purely on the outsourcing from different industries, the work is getting outsourced from all the different work and IT provides services. Europe and UK has very strict laws on employment when it relates to outsourcing and mergers and acquisitions. especially on outsourcing, if I would say. And HR plays a very important role here. And this made this role very key in UK and Europe. Now, what is this role all about? It works purely with the sales team. So it gives an exposure of sales, work with our mergers team, how to get the business, how to look for employment laws, negotiation with union, work councils, and then transfer the employees under the local laws from the industries that we are working, and the work is getting outsourced to the IT company. So this role, why I'm specially talking about this, is a very unique, and especially in India, when even I was there, I didn't know about this particular HR role. Unlike any other role, yes, the recruitment, performance, comp and ben, they are everywhere, even in UK. Another thing is, if you want to pursue HR profession in UK, apart from the MBA, there is a course called CIPD. The CIPD is an advanced course quite equivalent to MBA. However, it has a very good value in UK. And if you pursue the CIPD course, it gives you ample opportunities in HR to go for it. So yes, there are different opportunities, plus some extra education done here will give you more platform to explore.
Okay. Thank you, Vasudha. There is one more question in addition to this. Does PhD in HR have any scope in UK?
So what I understand from this question, not sure if they are looking to do PhD in HR in UK, or once PhD is done in some other country and looking for a job.
Once PhD is done,
okay.
Will there be any room?
So as I said, in UK, because the laws are very different than rest of the world, we need to do something which is prominent to the local market, and this will add more value to what we have done it. Now, after PhD, if I see, I do not think there will be much value add, and I'll be frank here, to the corporate sector. Yes, academicians has a very good role if you have done PhD. There are different colleges, different academic institutes, which will give you an opportunity to work if you have done PhDs here. So you need to see what area of work you are looking for. If you want to be a part of the corporate world, probably it may not have a good value. Somebody who has just done the MBA may get good salary, good role, than you have done a lot of studies in PhD. So the industry becomes a very important here.
Okay. Rashmi, do you want to add something?
Vani, I just wanted to add something out here.
Yes, sir.
I think I would share completely what Vasudha said. Because this is true not only in UK, but it's also true in many other developed countries. And I can only talk from my personal experience in India itself. I did my PhD in 1984 from Mumbai University. And I joined Siemens at that point of time. And let me tell you, this PhD became a big, big albatross on my neck. The company did not recognize me as a PhD. And I'm talking of a multinational company like Siemens, which is a German based, okay? It did not recognize me. And I kept on trying to hide my PhD. I used to simply write my name as Mr. Gopal and get away with it without putting the title a doctor. I realized its value the minute I joined the education world full time in 2004. And when I joined the educational world, the first question at the time of interview was, do you have a PhD degree? When did you do it? And in what subject did you do it? And after I joined, very sheepily, the trustee asked me, he says, Gopal, can you show me your PhD degree? I said, sir, please give me a weekend because the PhD degree is somewhere in the attic and I need to climb up and check where it is. And when I showed it to him, he had all the smiles. And within a matter of 3 months, I got my approval as a teacher from Mumbai University. So PhD is very important if you want to do your, if you want to get into the educational field. Otherwise, industry does not recognize a PhD at all. Yeah, Rashmi, you want to
Yes, sir. This is just to also share with the students, Vani ma'am, because we do have something called as industry members, as board of study members for our curriculum. So, in fact, like as Vasundhara placed, we do have subjects which focus on negotiation, mergers and acquisition, and outsourcing, business outsourcing. Because this is from the industry perspective. Because as Vasundhara mentioned, we had this being recommended from the industries end, and this has been added of late in the international business curriculum.
Yeah, this is really good. And I think when this got introduced already in India, it will definitely give a lot of exposure to the students who are pursuing HR, in especially UK and Europe, where laws are very stringent towards this. And it may not be, again, in US or Asia Pacific, if you go and ask it, people will similarly ignore, why do we have to study this? But this will have a very important role to play in Europe and UK.
Yeah. So we'll take one last question from the audience. The last question is of Kevin. He's asking, what is the scope of postgraduate outside India in media industry? So who would like to take this question? Vasudha, will you be the right person? In media industry, what would it be outside media industry? Outside India in media industry.
So frankly, I'm from an HR background, so not much experience of the media industry.
Yeah.
But if I just see from different industry scopes in UK, and when I always say UK, though Brexit has been done, I take UK and Europe together. Yes, these countries are much advanced in the media sector, different media we see. Now, again, in media, we need to see what area are we looking for. So are we looking in a filmmaking kind of a sector or some other type media? But definitely with my little experience, I will not be much sure about this industry, frankly. Yes, indeed. There are different areas where we have a scope. Exactly, as I said, I will not be able to comment on this, but some of the areas which are there in UK also predominantly, there are different schools which promote media, education in media sector. And once you have done it, explore a little bit of it and you will have some opportunities here as well. But as I said, I'm from an HR purely, working in an IT.
I think Gurpreet and Sunil Shastri can better answer. He answered also. So can we take up Gurpreet first, because I think she's into the media business.
Yep, he's from a media company, sir.
Yeah, so any education, like, as we have highlighted earlier, so I'm currently working with a media company. So if you've done a course specifically in media as well, it's definitely recognized in other countries, even if it's done from a different country, or like say, if it's done from India. But then it's always good if it's backed up with some strong experience. And as already highlighted, if you want to enter in a media sector, the first thing would be like, expanding your network. Even though you're still studying in India or working in India, try and expand your network as much as you can. These days, it's quite easier these days to expand your network in other countries, being in a certain country as well. So media is a sector wherein, first of all, like, you need a good network established. That's what companies look out for. And then again, some good experience with, even if it's a company in India, but then a degree from a different country backed with a good experience is definitely recognized.
Yeah. So okay.
I can, although I'm not in the media business, but I can give you two case studies, two people I know personally who are in the media business. Both are Indian nationals. One of them, he Both of them are MBA in marketing and business development. And they both worked in India in media, companies like Hindustan Times, etc., for probably 10 years. And then one of them had a job offer in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, with a TV station. So he was there in Malaysia, I think for 3-4 years. Then he transferred to Dubai and joined Fox News. The other one, who is my nephew, he's also MBA in marketing from India. He tried for a long time to get out of India to try other opportunities. He finally got a job offer in Dubai with Dubai Tourism, which is a government entity, to promote Dubai tourism to the whole world, to attract more tourists. And then he finally left that and joined Fox News in Dubai. So I think that the Middle East, the well-to-do Middle East countries, they have aspirations to develop their media to Western standards. And I think that tells me there could be some opportunities there. Thank you.
I think Sunil wanted to say something. Yeah, Sunil.
Yeah, very, very quickly, really. I think media and communication is a very hands-on and also a very individualistic profession. So I think you have to think in terms of, as some of you have already said, those points notwithstanding. I would say that one of the big ways to get into media in the UK would be to have some kind of a internship with one of those companies that have projects in India. And then, for example, if you have ITN or BBC or any of the Channel 4 or whatever, the prominent channels in the UK, and if you can have internship with their projects in India, because they do, in fact, India is a very big market for what happens in the UK. Our food is bestseller here, our movies are bestsellers here, our culture, our dance, tradition, drama, everything, it's all big on TV here, and media, other media also. So I think if they can find if they have a postgraduate degree in media from India, and if they can get an internship with a British company in India, then that would be the first-rate way of getting into this business. And talking about sort of anecdotes or stories, I mean, we have the famous done from now become a professor at Harvard, So that's just, she just catapulted herself. From a media profession. I think, yeah, it's a very attractive and a very lucrative.
Yeah, Vani.
Yeah. So before we wind up, I would like to show the courses or the programs which we have in our institute. So let me just share the screen again. In MBA, apart from the regular courses which we have other sectoral programs also, which are more specific to the industry, like pharmaceutical industry management, biotechnology management, logistics and supply chain management, health and hospital management, international business management, aviation management, and banking and insurance management. So all these are the courses which we have in MBA. We also have BBA in our institute, and the various specializations which we have in BBA are marketing management, finance management, international business, BBA in banking and insurance, and hospital administration. So whoever wants to inquire further on these courses can contact our team members whose numbers are given below. And apart from this, in the next week on Sunday, we will be having one more webinar on career guidance after 12th. So I request all the participants to attend this webinar also, because this is going to be another interesting webinar too. Thank you. And I would like to request Sapna to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vani. It was a great session where there was a lot of interaction with all the members, where we got so many inputs related to the questions which were put up to them and by the participants which picked up the question. A good learning session for everyone. First of all, I would like to place a thanks to the university for and our own director, our dean, for giving us the opportunity to put up such a nice and interactive webinar. Then I would like to place a thanks to the panelists for taking up the time from various time zones and getting in touch with us and attending and interacting with so many people and then making us aware of things which are needed. Lastly, I would like to thank the members who have made this event possible. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. God bless all of you all. Thank you. Pankaj, you can go back to sleep now.
I don't think so.
Thank you.
But Gurpreet can. I think Gurpreet can go back to sleep. It's now practically 1:30, I think. Am I right, Gurpreet?
Nice.
Yeah.
It's 12:30 for me now. So I can
12:30. It's quite late.
Thank you all. I'm winding it up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
It
you.
was
Bye,
great.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Vani, I can leave. Sapna, I can
Yes, sir.
leave now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So thanks, Shastri ji, for the nice this thing that we had. Thanks, Surendra Kumar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And
So much.
sir, thank you very much. I mean, your inputs were really very nice. God bless all of you all.
You're very welcome, Dr. Gopal. Thank you for the
so much,
opportunity.
sir. Thank you,
Bye,
sir.
sir. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Yeah.